Good question. So if that happens, you have two options. Again, option number one, we act on it right now because it makes the most sense to. Then basically we have to drop something. So it's again, cost benefit. And if you're going to drop something, what do we drop? So you engage with the product owner, they engage with stakeholders, you have to do some quick cost benefit. And you recognize that you're adding in scope, so you're jeopardizing the sprint scope. So you don't want to do this as a practice. As a one-off, okay, yeah, sure, that's life. But as a practice, we don't want to do it. Option two, you know what? This is not ready. It's a good realization. This is a victory for agile behavior, which means we wouldn't have known this unless we did this small term planning. So this is a victory for agile behavior. Let's file it in the back pocket or in the backlog. Let's let the product owner work on this, get it to a state of ready, get them to prioritize it for the next sprint or for the future and work on it in the future. You have to make the decision as a team and really as a product owner, if the reward of working on it right now is higher than the cost of jeopardizing the sprint scope, failing the sprint, using the team's capacity to analyze it, make it ready, and still execute it. If that is a worthy proposition, okay, that's your call as a product owner, but just make sure you don't do it as a practice because you're setting a bad precedent, because you're devaluing the cadence of a sprint. Because then the team is like, okay, well, you know what, the sprint doesn't mean jack, because anytime the product owner wants to change scope, they keep changing scope. At the end of the day, either a good practice will compound or a bad practice will compound, right? If you remember in my classes, I've generally said this, when people have said Rome didn't fall in a day. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day. The corollary is also true. Rome didn't fall in a day. Rome fell brick by brick. And so your discipline also erodes away brick by brick. So don't let that atrophy, right? So if you want to build a discipline of ready and done, stay within those confines. Every now and then, sure, rules are meant to be broken, as they say, but you don't want to break too many rules because then you have anarchy. You don't have any kind of behavior that is consistent over time. So when you're in sprint planning, you want to buffer out some capacity for the future. And so have a 90-10, 80-20 rule where you say, you know what, 20% of our sprint capacity is going to be for refinement for the future. So you can sort of compartmentalize that capacity. Say, if it's a 2-week window, every Monday afternoon for a couple of hours, we'll take a break from the current sprint work. We'll focus on the future. So product owner, bring us a product backlog. Let's refine for the future, right? That is one way of handling it. Another way of handling it is just make sure that when you're taking in work, whatever item you take in, you're taking in a holistic piece. That means don't take in more work, take in less work, but finish the work. So holistically take the work. If it is dependent on 5 different things, then make sure that you're leveling out all of those things as you're estimating for it, so that you're finishing it entirely. Otherwise, you're just artificially finishing work for the heck of it, but it's not really done until all the dependencies are met. So again, this goes back to how you break down your batch size, how you make things holistic. You want the items to be small enough that they can be done in a reasonable time frame, but at the same time, you want them to be large enough that they can stand on their own independently and provide some business value. I'd say in general here, I'm going to put a website name in the chat window. This should be a good resource. Yeah, check chat window. So there's a website called Agilityhealthradar.com. This has a bunch of different metrics that you can take a look at. They have like hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of metrics. A lot of them are, again, going to be categorized in the 2 things that I mentioned earlier, which is performance and health. Performance is going to be your hard data, delivery-oriented data. Health is going to be around the team health. So again, attrition, burnout, happiness, those kinds of things. That should be a good start, I'd say, regardless of what agile environment you're in. You can take a look at those metrics. In addition to this, I'd say specifically from a delivery standpoint, check out this concept called Dota Metrics. I just typed in the chat window. Dota stands for Development, Operations, Research, and Assessment. It's a set of about 250 odd metrics that specifically deal with delivery, throughput, release, those kinds of metrics. So between those 2, I think you've got a good, healthy resource. Okay, I hope this was useful, everybody. We are done. Until next time. See ya. Bye.